Hello, good morning, good afternoon over there in New Zealand. My name is Juan Bautista Propato. I work for Football West. Before I was in New Zealand, Germany, and Argentina, but today we have the pleasure to do an interview with el señor Guillermo Schiltenwolf, coach and physical trainer, and anything else?
Husband and a Kiwi. So,
a Kiwi boy.
a Kiwi boy.
Tell me a little about your experience, Guillermo.
Well, a bit of a background. I studied as every single Argentinian playing football when I was 5 years old. I play until like 16, 17. Never had the chance to become a professional, but like everyone, playing on the street, playing at school, playing at football academies. As being an only child, my mom couldn't keep me we were living on an apartment, so it was very tough for my mom to keep me like quiet. So when I was, I think 11, she sent me to Argentinos Juniors, a football club. So I spent most of my time after school at Argentinos Juniors playing football and training. But again, I never had the chance to make it into not even closer professional play. But after that, when I finished secondary school, I studied PE teacher. 5 years. Studying PE teacher is where I met you. Like this is a long time ago. Once I finished, I specialized because my dream was always to be involved in football. So I tried to get more specific into the football fitness. And I had a few jobs in a few football clubs. And also I started coaching juniors. That is back in, 2001, 2002. I started working in a different academies and clubs. And again, we share one academy, like the Claudio Marangoni. And then after that, I work in a third division club, JJ Urquiza, the reserves, as a conditioning training, then as a youth conditioning training at Platense, but that was only for 6-7 months. And then I was lucky enough to get a scholarship in 2004. And I went to Germany for 7-8 months, in where I studied a lot of football topics. And I played there, but didn't play in a high level, mainly at the university and in a team called FC Köln. After that, I went back to Argentina, 2005, and I remember talking to you, and you mentioned that you were working in New Zealand. At that time, I think was Karori as a director of football. And I remember you coming to my house with, at that time, your girlfriend. Now she's your wife. And we talk a lot. And after that sort of chat, I made my decision to, look, it's time for me to move on and travel to a new country. So it took me I think 2 years to save a bit of money, and I flew all the way to here in New Zealand in 2009. And since then, I've been working here in football in Wellington, coaching at different age levels. And that's basically what I've been doing for the last, 20 years or something, since I started in Argentina.
Yeah, so 21 years ago, we started together in 99 in Gimnasia Grima. So how do you compare Argentina and Germany in terms of football, coaching, players, structure?
Well, back in that time, I thought, oh, I'm from Argentina. It's gonna be easy for me to play football. But I remember my first training and then game is like, it was not easy at all. The Germans were like big, strong, and to be honest, they knew what you were doing and they knew how to play football. So after that, I had a lot of respect at them. Structure-wise, is like I didn't have a lot of time there, like spending time in clubs and watching how they develop kids. But well, as well as me, the Germans are very, very structured, and when they want to do things, they do it properly. And you can see how the way they improve their football in the last 10 years. I think I had the chance to do a coaching course in the Netherlands, and they were saying that the Spanish people copy the Dutch way, and then the German copy the Spanish way and the Dutch way, and they improve it. And well, you could see, because they won the World Cup in 2006, I think, Germany, or
14,
can't remember.
Brazil.
14 in Brazil, yeah. But the way they were playing, yeah, you can see why German football improved a lot. And what I like is like when Klinsmann took over the national team, he basically told the federation, look, we need to change the way we are playing, and all the clubs need to sort of buy into this new philosophy. And well, again, the Germans are very not structured, but they can follow rules very well, and I think most of the clubs follow the way the federation was telling them to play, and yeah, you can see the results for the last 8 years, 10 years.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, unfortunately, they beat us in 2014. And how was the transition to go from Argentina and Germany, two football nations, to go and ended up in New Zealand? At that time, you were in Io with the 3 clubs, and then you move on to other positions.
Look, I think I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting more, but again, as we are all coaches, and when you get in a new country, you need to learn how to adapt, and you need to learn how they behave, what's the new country, the culture of the people, and yeah, the beginning, football-wise, was sometimes I thought what I'm doing here, but then after a few months being in Wellington, and I learned to love the people and to love the city. Yeah, basically it's that. It's like it is a massive difference, but once you adapt and you see the way why they are doing things and how they behave, yeah, you realize. I realized I was living in a top country.
So how much do you think football changed after the All Whites qualified for the World Cup in 2010? It did change something, or was just the momentum and now is everything kind of back to normal?
I think changed a lot. I think more kids started playing football. At the junior space, I think football now is being one step ahead of rugby, numbers-wise, the numbers of kids that they are playing football, and that is, I think, it's because after the World Cup. But I think right now with the all whites players that I'm seeing, this squad, I think they are much stronger than the one in 2010. Of course, they need to prove it and they need to qualify for the World Cup. But players-wise and the way they are playing and the technique they have, I think all this new generation is going to be very, very good.
Yeah, it's a massive difference in 2010 that they played a playoff against Bahrain and then 14 against Mexico. last game in Mexico, and then the last one was against Peru. So Peru was up top with Tigre Areca second half when he took over. They drew against Argentina. They beat Chile.
And I remember the All Whites being in Peru at the hotel, and the Peruvians throwing fireworks and making noise at 2 a.m. So yeah, it's of course that happens in South America a lot, but it is what it is. Unlucky for New Zealand.
Yeah, but if you win Oceania, that the All Whites should win, then you have to beat them, isn't it? Like Australia did in 2006 against Europe.
Yes. But again, I think I'm not trying to be disrespectful for all the players that represent New Zealand in the past, but the difference is like all the young kids coming through and being on the New Zealand, on the All Whites pathway, and with the new coach and the way that I think he sees football, I think that is a really bright future ahead for New Zealand football.
That's good to know. What about your experience in New Zealand coaching men's?
Well, my first job was in 2009. Was funny because I remember you taking me to an interview in Upper Hutt to take over Upper Hutt, and on the interview, I don't know, it's like we started talking not good things about football in New Zealand. So straight after, I remember on the way back, you and me laughing, saying, "You didn't get the job," and it's like, anyway. Yeah, after that, it's like I was lucky enough. I applied for a job at Victoria University, and at that time the club's chairman was Steve Posty. Steve Carlin. He really liked the idea of having a South American coach because he was traveling a lot around South America. And after the first interview, they said, "Look, are you okay to take a session?" So yeah, I did it. And after that, yeah, I coached Vic Uni for I think 2 or 3 years. Back in the day, we were in Cup 2, and I think we got promoted to Cup 1. And then I had a call from, well, I applied for another job at Wellington United. And a guy called Ken Allen interviewed me and offered me the men's reserve. And I think after 1 or 2 years coaching the men's reserves, in 2011, I had the chance to coach the women's reserves because I remember, I think you got the job in the women's first, and I got the job in the women's second, and then lucky for me, you got a job at Capital Football like a week after getting the United job, and sort of I got promoted to the first team. Then men's wise, I stopped after like 2 years at Wellington United Prems. In 2012, 13, had a year gap or 2 years without coaching men's, and then I was working in a football academy called Kaizen, run by my friend Stu Jacob. And one day he said, "Look, Guille, I got an offer. Would you like to be my assistant in Wellington Olympic?" So I said, "Of course." And yeah, I followed Stu in 2016 to Wellington Olympic. Here, Wellington Olympic, they have a team playing in the top division, and the second team, the reserves, they are playing in the second division here in New Zealand. So we took over the first team, and we were lucky enough in 2016 to win the league the first year. Then 2018-19, we didn't do well, and yeah, we ended up going but yeah, great experience and great club as well. Wellington United.
What do you think was the key factors to win that league, and then what changed that the year after you didn't, and then you couldn't really get back to where you were when you started?
I think the first year at the club, everything was working smoothly, like coaching staff, players, club administrator, and club president. Everything was working perfect, and that is why I think we won the league. But mainly, of course, we always win the league thanks to the players, right? But all the wheel was working perfect. Second year and third year, a few things happens behind the scenes, and yeah, we ended up leaving in 2019.
And then you were coaching the women's at Wellington United, 2011.
Yeah, women's wise is like women's wise as well. I started coaching big uni. They were in the second division. Then I left, and I took a year gap, and then, well, lucky enough to get the Wellington United women's back in 2011. You left,
so I took over team in 2011?
Team.
How was that team in 2011 when you took over?
I'm going to put it this way. Yeah, well, when I arrived, to be honest, it's like I was focused only on the first team. I didn't, and that is a mistake I made. I didn't even check what was going on beyond the first team. So I'm going to put it this way. It's like the first game we played against Karori, we lost 17-2. Second game we played against Massey University. First game against Karori, we lost 17-0. And second game against Massey, we lost 15-2. So after that second game, I went to the chairman. I said, I'm from Argentina, you know, ask me. And I went to the chairman and said, I'm off, I'm gone. This is my resignation. But well, here I was lucky enough that in Wellington United, they support me a lot, and they think in long-term projects. So they said, oh, what are you doing? Just relax, and you will find a way to keep us in Central League. So yeah, was a tough year, but we ended up staying in Central League. And through that year, I was not only thinking of how can I keep this team in the league, but I was also thinking how can I make this team better for the future. That's why I said before, as soon as I arrived, I made a mistake of not checking what was outside the women's first team. So again, after a while, I started looking, what do we have? Do we have a youth girls program? Do we have a women's second team, women's third team? And after that, I started sort of not only thinking again, how can I keep this team in Women's Central League, but how can I develop all the pathway? So in the few years, if I'm still here, we are going to have a competitive team.
Well, how will you compare that team to the Victoria University women's team? There were similarities on that 2011 team, or that Wellington United was a much stronger team technically and fitness-wise, or similar?
I think they were very similar. I think, of course, Wellington United in 2011, we had 2 or 3 different players in that team, but the big uni girls, they were very good. The problem is big uni is like, at that time, it's like when uni holidays is happening, you usually lose like 4 or 5 or even 6 players, and then it's why, because of course all the students go back to their houses or their cities, and that is when you start losing points. But maybe the difference was like having those 2 or 3 different players, technically speaking.
And what's happened over the last 3 or 4 years at Wellington United?
Well, again, after that, and after talking to a few different people, it's like I started like sort of thinking, how can I improve or what can I do to develop all the pathway in this club, in the girls. So I was lucky enough that I caught up with a bunch of young ladies and their parents, and they all, to be honest, they believe in me and they believe in the club. And a few players from that 2011 team on the next year, they left because I brought like 6 or 7 young girls, and we started again playing games, trying to develop in a playing style. And since I think the outcome is like in 2016, like 4 years after, we won the Central League, the first time the club in the women's they were winning the league. And then
so you won with the as well.
Yeah, I was lucky enough. 2 different clubs. Maybe for some people it's gonna sound weird, but 2 different clubs, 1 week difference. I won with the men's, and then the following weekend I won the women's Central League, which again for me was very, very special, because winning that league was the outcome of like 4 or 5 years process with young girls. And then since then, it's like people started seeing Wellington United in the women's space in a different way. So we started developing under 17, because we hook up with, back in the day, an academy called the Knockouts, where a bunch of girls coaching by a great guy and coach. He passed away, but and they sort of bought into our idea and philosophy. So again, since 2016, we have been improving and getting more girls into our program. So now in 2020, we have, I think in the first team there are like 20 girls. In the second team, we have 24. Then we have women's 13, 14, 15. And then we have a TDP under 15 girls in the youth space, and under 14 girls as well. So the pathway in the girls and in the club is very, very strong.
So that's your pathway for the girls and women's Wellington United. First team, second team, third team.
So we have first team, second team, third team. Third, fourth, and fifth, they are more social. And then we have in the youth space under 16s and under 14s girls, which they train 2-3 times a week.
And what about younger than that? Under 12, 11, they play mixed.
Younger than that, we have under 12 and under 9s. They play on girls only on Sundays. But on that age, the numbers are okay. Could be better, but again, we're happy.
And any futsal with those players, or they just focus outdoor?
During the winter, they focus outdoor, and I think once a week they do futsal, and during summer they do futsal. I think one good thing about futsal here is like girls, they have more touches on the ball. They are more involved. It is indoor. Here in Wellington, winter is not, some days not nice.
Most of the day.
So yeah, most of the day. But that's the benefits of futsal. So yeah, they mainly on summer they train futsal more often. Not with us. Now we're trying to develop an academy, but mainly with other academies.
Very good. What about the friends you have behind you? 100 goals, all those girls?
Oh yeah, that's the frames that I bought from the club. Every time a player reached, for example, a mark, this is Sarah in the middle. She's the women's captain, and she's also a futsal fan. She played futsal for the national team. So when she reached 100 games for the club, we sort of did this. And for example, Sarah, she came to the club in 2012. She was very young, 14, and since then she has been in the club, and she's an outstanding person. Then we have Francesca as well. She's a futsal fan. She came in the club, I think, in 2014 or 13. And then we have Michaela Robertson. This year she got named for the football ferns, and as well she played 100 games and she scored like 110 goals or something like that. So really good people and good players.
And you got another player over there behind you?
No, that's the same Mickey. That's the same Mickey when she scored 100 goals. I think on the same day she played. Yeah. So really good. Very, very good.
Better than Batistuta.
She's getting there.
What about how do you juggle coaching men's and women's on the same week when is, well, do you think there are difference when you're coaching women's and when you're coaching men? And how do you handle that? How do you switch off or, adapt to coach men and then women and men and women and then coach on the weekend men?
Well, for me in 2016, to be honest, was easy because don't forget at Olympic I was the assistant coach. So despite I had a lot of responsibility, I was mainly helping Stu and took trainings and run sessions and plan sessions, and then absolutely different when I moved the day after to coaching women's, because in the women's I was the head coach. So, but again, there are differences between men's and women's.
And what are the differences?
It's funny because today I was listening into a podcast from the people from Australia. I think it's the playing field or no, the technical area. Warren Grieve, and they were interviewing Ivan Joilik. He's the Matilda's assistant coach, and he made a really good point about the difference between men's and women's. And I agree. I think the one of the main differences, like in the women's, you need to connect with them and connect with them with the feelings and the thoughts. That's the main thing coaching women's. It took me like 2 or 3 years to understand that, but I think that's the main difference between
maybe it took you the year that you didn't coach women's 2010.
But yeah, if you ask me, I think now I'm moving to a different step. I'm moving back again into men's, but I really like and I really enjoy coaching girls and women's.
What about on personal development? What do you do to upskill yourself and keep growing as a coach and getting better in all different areas of the game that we think is easy?
I'm trying to stay connected. I'm trying to read a lot or listen to podcasts or watch videos. Or now I'm lucky enough that in this tough situation, my club still supporting me in the juniors and in the seniors. We have a few softwares that I can use it and I can analyze games and I can code games. I can, again, mainly it's like watching games, listening to people that I believe they know about football and I respect, and reading, trying to stay busy.
That's good. What about Marcelo Bielsa for you?
I really like Marcelo Bielsa. That's everyone in Argentina dreams to meet in Maradona. Well, my dream is to meet Maradona and Bielsa and Batistuta.
Batistuta was in Perth, by the way.
I know. But yeah, I really like the guy.
Why do you like Bielsa? Why? What is the something that really get you
his values? I think his values, the way he plays, I like it a lot of intensity. He's a big believer of he follows a lot Van Gaal, but mainly the way he thinks, the way his values. I really like the way he is as a person.
So what advice will you give now to the coaches and players now that the lockdown and they cannot play around and we don't know what is going to happen, how long is going to be this? So what do you think is the best advice for players and coaches?
That's a good one. I would say this is a good time to reflect and analyze what you did right, you did wrong, and try to keep improving, keep learning. You have a lot of information on the website. Most of it, it's like you need to be careful because it's not good. But again, try to reflect and analyze what you did or what you are doing right and what you are doing wrong, and try to again improve.
And on that, on improve, what will you change, or what do you think was the biggest learning point from you coaching, I don't know, 20 years ago or 10 years ago? What are the things that you say, I'm really proud of this and I would not do this again?
That's a good one. I think I'm still learning, and that's because I'm doing my A license in Australia, and the main thing that I like to know is like how to manage people, but mainly manage players in the changing room, especially professional players. But again, I would say manage people is the thing that I'm improving and I'm learning every year. It's not easy, but that is something that I like to keep improving. Being honest, and being honest in the way like, when you play football and you're a football player, you as a player, you can smell when the coach, is talking, is bluffing or not. And that's what I'm trying not to do. I'm trying to be as honest as possible with all the players. Sometimes it's not easy, but I think in the long term, they prefer having honest coaches.
Yeah, true. Well, Bielsa is an example of that, isn't it? He donated his salary to the people at the club now in England and kind of try to be the person, the leader, showing the example to other players as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you have many coaches and players that they are doing the same, but yeah, again, it's all about your values as a person. That defines you, right?
Well, so last question, a funny story between us, for the people maybe don't know much about it. You are not allowed to say the one from when we went to the interview because you already told them.
That was a very funny one. We have a lot that I can't tell. Well, do you remember one?
Yeah, I do, but I cannot tell you.
I think the upper hat one was very, very, very funny. I don't know. We have too many funny stories. You go ahead.
Okay, so I remember one. When Guille moved over to New Zealand, we were living together. Gabby, my wife, was still in Auckland, so we have the whole house for us. So we used to go at night. I was not able to do much, but Guille was single, I wasn't. But anyway, we used to go to this place, and I'm a little brownish, could be Maori, and whatever shoes I have, clothes, whatever, hey bro, oh good, and they're, hey bro. Now, Guille, like the shirt like this, the button is like, and Guille, no, look, no, not today. And then, I don't know, then Guille, I don't know what, he was like dressed or proper, whatever, and then he was waiting to see what's happened to be rejected. But Juan, whatever, singlet, shorts, no problem, Maori bro, go, and Guille was like, come on, you know.
that was at the establishment, and 100% they thought you were Maori man. And I remember one night I bought a very expensive shoes, like for me in that time, 2009, new in the country. Like I spent like 90 bucks in shoes. Do you remember? And the guy's like, no, your shoes, you're not. Come on, man. But yeah, lot of funny moments.
I used to go with the crocodile shoes. They were like white. They were not crocodile real, but they looked like, and they go, oh yeah, sweetheart, you know, and then, oh yeah, that was fun. But yeah, no, Guille, thanks for your time. Appreciate. Be safe. Be at home. And it was great talking to you.
Likewise, all the best, and we still stay in touch.